Chances are, if you've been online in the last 24 hours, you've seen Nintendo Direct trending everywhere and people talking about whether or not we know all of the new games that are going to be announced at the next upcoming event. And we have to break this down and be very clear about it, because the list that is going around being shared is 100% fake, and I will prove it in this video. We do not see structured lists of what Nintendo is announcing from any planned showcase. We do have accounts like Pioro that have a flawless track record that do tease things one at a time, but they don't put together a document and send it out in terms of the order of which games are going to be announced and the release dates for all of them. And that's what this document is, not to mention the fact that it has far too many first-party Nintendo announcements. This looks like an absolute dream of a Direct if it is indeed true, but I'm warning you ahead of time, it's not. Now, I did, however, think this would be a good opportunity to talk about the outstanding rumor that does suggest we might be around the corner from seeing an April Nintendo Direct, and what kind of games we might actually see at that showcase, because this fake Direct leak that's listed online has supposedly leaked the date for April 18th, which is a Thursday, but I'm not putting any stock into that personally. However, PH Brazil and Necro Felipe have talked about hearing something of a Nintendo Direct, whispers or rumors taking place in April. And while if you look at recent history, that's not a month that Nintendo would typically pick to hold a mainline Nintendo Direct, we also know this is going to be a very different year in 2024. It already has been, with their first of the year Direct being a partner showcase, and there are outstanding rumors that maybe the new next-gen Nintendo hardware reveal that was supposedly once planned for March could have indeed shifted to June, with an internal delay for the console to launch in now Q1 of 2025. And I do not think Nintendo will hold a mainline Direct and a console reveal in the same month, leading some credence to the idea that maybe April does make sense to communicate some of the next unannounced games that will be headed to the Switch for the remainder of this year. So we're going to unpack all that. Before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on your bell notification to join Sunbro Nation if you're new here. And I want to first take a look at this leak that's been making the rounds online. Fake leak. We may make that very clear in your head. This is not going to be real stuff, but I do think that it's a very interesting fan wish list, and it gained a lot of traction on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, yesterday, causing it to trend with over 147,000 views from this one post from PC Focus. Now, this was a large account that did retweet this out and kind of claim that a new Nintendo Direct leaked, and I don't know how in the know this account is with what looks like a real leak and what doesn't, but it's definitely not a true leak. But now you have the post that they shared, which is actually listed as unavailable at the time of filming. However, a lot of people just copied the image and shared it that way, so we can still take a look at it together. And this is the document in question. Of course, Nintendo's branding right at the top. Now, this says 18/4/2024 for the date, so that is a Thursday, and I'm assuming this came from like European regions and things where the day is first and then the month and then the year. Here in the US, we do that in reverse. Anyway, Hyrule Warriors The Imprisoning War, first up on the list, out November 21st, 2024. Now, I'm not opposed to the idea of another Hyrule Warriors game. I actually think it might be time for something like that. I do think something Zelda needs to happen in 2024. I don't think that it will be a Hyrule Warriors game titled The Imprisoning War, but at some point in time, those have been fairly successful games for Nintendo with, I wouldn't assume, the biggest development budget, so they may crank out another one, and I'm just not going to necessarily expect it to show up as soon as something like an April Direct. Then next up, you have The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker HD standalone announcement. No mention of Twilight Princess on this list, and that could indeed be how we see Nintendo ultimately reveal Wind Waker, but according to this leak, that would be out July 18th, 2024, which I'm also not expecting to happen. I don't necessarily think it will be a summer game. If we do actually get Wind Waker and or Twilight Princess, I do think that they will be positioned as holiday games to kind of fill out the back half of the year and hopefully get some additional traction to get people in store to buy new Switch consoles over this holiday season to play those classic 3D Zeldas. Then you have Monster Hunter Stories, June 14th, 2024, Endless Ocean Luminous, which we also already know about, which is May 2nd, 2024, Epic Mickey Rebrushed, which is again a real game, but we don't have the release date for it. We know that it will be a 2024 title, and it says November 14th. Now, I'm actually excited to play Epic Mickey Rebrushed when it does come out, and I don't think that that's necessarily a release date that doesn't make sense for it. I actually do think that the latter half of the year in the holiday season, anytime from October to December. It makes a lot of sense for that game to drop, so it could be in the ballpark of when we actually see it. Of course, we know to expect Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door to actually launch on May 23rd because that is an official announcement from Nintendo. We got that during Mario Day, and I'm personally very excited for that game to drop on Switch. Now, this next one is actually a reasonable prediction because I do think that a new Fire Emblem game, we've had one rumored for a while, like some kind of remaster. It does make sense to see Nintendo do something with it, but Fire Emblem Echoes Scars of Jugdral is out August 29th according to this list, and I'm not expecting that to be accurate at all, but just keep in mind that is one of the leaked games, quote unquote, that they are claiming is in the pipeline here. Animal Crossing New Leaf HD, November 7th, 2024. Now, this is actually an interesting pick because the same way that we saw Luigi's Mansion 2 HD come over, you could also, in theory, say that maybe they would do that for Animal Crossing one day. In fact, there is an outstanding rumor going around online right now that maybe 2026 has something in store for the next Animal Crossing, but would they, as a stopgap in between now and 2026, want to release one of the smaller 3DS games that actually sold extremely well? I don't think that's a bad idea. I do think it would be a cool thing to see for the Animal Crossing community, and that would be actually a big holiday title if Nintendo did indeed reveal it. Fantasy Life 1, Little Kitty, Big City, Biomutant, all of that. Then we have Super Mario Party 2, October 24th, 2024. Now, I would be mad if this was another like Super Mario Party game, like literally just a sequel with new ones. I want Mario Party Superstars 2 if we're going to get a direct sequel of that sort. I did not think Super Mario Party was that great to begin with. All of the mini games based around the Joy-Cons and the motion control for the most part, and it just wasn't that memorable for me. Mario Party Superstars, on the other hand, just expand on that, make something brand new again from the ground up. You don't have to make it rehashes of old mini games, but make it more around button controls and a traditional controller layout with, of course, some motion mini games mixed in there for fun, but base it around the controller for the most part, in my opinion, would be a better move for the future of Mario Party. And I do personally think that in 2024, it will hopefully be time to learn what's next for Mario Party. If not, I do think that they will just likely save it for the launch of Switch 2, or in the launch window rather, in terms of releasing another installment of Mario Party. Now, next up, the claim is Super Mario Galaxy plus Super Mario Galaxy 2. Now, why they would re-release Super Mario Galaxy and bundle it in with Galaxy 2, I don't know, but I do know that we need Galaxy 2 playable because Super Mario 3D All-Stars was a limited run game, and of course you can still get that as a physical pickup, but you cannot buy it on the eShop. So maybe that's the thought process here. They would release Galaxy again because it's technically one of the ones that you can't actively purchase, but then I would just assume port Super Mario Galaxy 2 standalone for the time being, and then one day we'll probably see GameCube and Wii added into Nintendo Switch Online in the far distant future, and maybe that's how you can play Mario Galaxy and Mario Sunshine again at that point. But those would have supposedly released on September 19th this year. And just think about for a minute in this list how many first-party Nintendo games we have, and we're not even done yet. Scale Wave Unbound, Call of Duty Black Ops Collection, and then Braid Anniversary Edition, Luigi's Mansion 2 HD. That's actually an accurate game that will be out June 27th. Then you have Metroid Samus Returns HD early 2025, Metroid Prime 2 Echoes and Prime 3 Corruption available after presentation, and Metroid Prime 4 Extinction October 10th, 2024. Now, I'm a Metroid fan, I'm a first-party Nintendo fan, and you tell me if that's not like the most stacked direct in history ever if this was a real list. And that's kind of where you can just walk away from it and realize that all of this stuff is throwing paint at a wall to see if maybe one or two things could actually be right. I'm not saying that this list is entirely wrong. I'm just saying it's not accurate, and it's definitely not a leaked collection of what we will see at a upcoming potential April Nintendo Direct. So that's kind of the list. I don't think that we're going to get less than even half of that stuff that was talked about there. If we did get even a fraction of it, it would be an incredible presentation in my personal opinion. And then to kind of wrap up the conversation on where my thought process is with the likelihood of seeing an April Nintendo Direct this year, I am cautiously optimistic that we will see it because we currently have every single Nintendo published title for the calendar year that we know about so far with a solid release date, meaning Nintendo has done what they need to do to communicate all that stuff to us, and we are truly in the dark after June when it comes to new unannounced games. And you might just say that Nintendo will follow their general cadence where we just have to wait until June to get the next mainline direct, and that's definitely a very real possibility. And if that is indeed the case and we don't see anything happen in April, at that point, I would assume that maybe the Nintendo Switch 2 hardware reveal, or whatever it's going to be called, it will end up being revealed to us more like October, kind of literally doing a copy paste for what they did for the original Switch. When we saw that first look trailer pop up in October, then we got some kind of big reveal hands-on event in January where they did a live presentation and went into more detail on everything, and then it was out in March. The Switch 2 could easily follow that same exact reveal and release strategy, and it would make sense for Nintendo to try to just recreate what they did with the Switch all over again. The option B is that we do see an April Direct, and if that does happen, I am that much more confident that June could indeed be the timeline for the reveal of the hardware. And the same sources that are saying it's going to be a June reveal for the hardware are the ones saying that there's going to be an April Direct. So that's where we have to kind of wait and see on how everything will fall. But you're going to see plenty of Nintendo news, rumors, and leaks, quote unquote, online floating around. So be aware of it. It would obviously be awesome if we saw even half of those first party announcements show up at a singular Nintendo Direct, but I'm not buying it. Let me know in the comments down below if you're excited for the next Nintendo Direct, whenever it might be. Do you think that April's the likely month? Do you think that there's a world where we see even half of these games all under one presentation? Or do you think it's something that we will likely be waiting all the way until June to hear from Nintendo when it comes to their first party game releases? So regardless of your thoughts and feelings on everything we talked about today, I do look forward to hearing from you all in the comments down below before you leave the video, as I do look forward to getting a back and forth conversation started with you all around these topics. Go watch the video on screen next if you haven't already. Also make sure you like, subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next video.